Hello, everyone. Welcome to CoffeeBreak YXE, episode, I guess, number 2. We're thrilled you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in. A reminder that we are airing this show every Monday to Thursday, starting at 10 a.m. every day. And we'd love for you to watch and enjoy this show. We have 2 exciting guests for you today. Our first guest is going to be Captain Mike Steckhan with the Prairie Lily. We're going to talk to him about river levels, a bit about river safety. We're seeing an uptick in river activities with the pandemic, and also get a sense of how things are shaping up for the summer season for the Prairie Lily. Our second guest is going to be Johnny Sinclair. He's going to come on and we're going to talk about what it's like, what it has been like to be a musician in a pandemic when you can't play to live crowds, and also talk to him a bit about how things are shaping up as we start the reopening plan here. And hopefully at some point this summer that they might have the ability to play to live bands or live audiences again. A reminder that this show is live, and because it's live, we want to hear from you. So if you have a comment or a question, enter it in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll try to get to it, and we'll bring that on air. And if we can, we'll answer those questions. We want to be as interactive and make it your show as much as possible. Also, a reminder that this show is our first and only show on No YXE that is considered news programming. As such, is governed by our editorial policy. If you want more information about our editorial policy, you can find it there at noyxe.com/editorial-policy. Like I mentioned, our first guest is going to be Captain Mike of the Prairie Lily, Captain Mike Steckhan, and why don't we just bring him in now? Hello, Captain Mike. How are you today?
Hello, Mr. Roach. I'm doing just fine. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. Viewers may hear on occasion some bangs and slams and vibrations coming from my home. I'm broadcasting from my home just to let you know there is some construction. They're replacing the main sewer line in front of my house, so there's a lot of heavy equipment around. So don't be afraid if I start shaking. That's what's happening. Captain Mike, thank you so much for coming on the show and doing this. The first question really is, everybody's talking about the river levels, and that it seems, even for this time of year, it seems really low. Are you seeing low levels?
Yeah, they are below average low, I guess you could say, for this time of year. Below average low, but not anything that we haven't seen before. Every few years you get a low one like this. Every few years you get a high one too. The seasons are always the same because they're always different. So it's a little bit low right now this year, mostly because there was not that much runoff for the Saskatchewan River Basin, which is all of southern Alberta and southern Saskatchewan drains into this river. And it was kind of not too much snow this winter. So that's that. But on the other hand, there was a lot more than average snow up in the Rocky Mountains. And that snow, anything this side of the Great Divide in the Rockies, also drains into the South Saskatchewan. So when that starts to come, and remember at high altitudes it's colder, so it doesn't melt as soon as it does here. But when it does begin to melt, which has already started to melt, we will get a lot more water. It won't show up immediately because the low water level right now, they've drained Diefenbaker Lake down over the winter, which is entirely what it was designed for. You can consider Diefenbaker Lake like a great big battery because of the hydropower facility at the end of it. So they fill the lake in the fall and it's totally full, and all winter they make power for Saskatchewan and some very lucrative income for the people of Saskatchewan, selling all that electricity. But by the time spring comes, the lakes drain down and they curtail the flows right back. And then now they're waiting for the lake to fill again. It should be about 3 weeks or a month, and that huge lake, it's 300 miles long, that huge lake will be full again, and they will start to increase the flows and they'll come up here. So it's low right now, but it's not anything we haven't seen before.
So this weekend that just passed, that there was a rain event. Did those local rain events have any impact on the river level, or is it really we're waiting for that melt from the Rockies? Well,
the local rain events have very little effect. They have some, but very, very little. The river might go up an inch or two with a big thunderstorm, but only for about half an hour or an hour. And in fact, it's been so dry that most of that water that came in our recent couple of days of rain there, most of that soaked right into the ground because it was so dry. But those local events don't really have an effect on the river here. This is all 99% of this water is stuff from the entire river basin and the Rocky Mountains. So a local rainstorm doesn't have any real effect on us.
Gotcha. So you mentioned that is controlled on one end, the Gardner Dam. Does the weir help keep levels at a reasonable, or I guess saleable level?
Well, yes, the weir is interestingly, the weir was never designed with a riverboat in mind. The weir was designed in the late 1930s for two reasons. Number one is a make-work project during the Great Depression, but it was also designed to raise water levels in Saskatoon downtown, so that they would always have the water level high enough to provide cooling water for the power plant that used to be the AL coal plant, which used to be near the bottom of the Buckwell Bridge. That was a coal-fired generating station. So they had the water raised to ensure there was always water for that power generating station. And also there was always water for the water intakes for Saskatoon's water system. So that's why that was built. The beauty of it is it's actually a 13-foot tall dam that runs across the entire width of the river. That raises the water levels in the original valley here enough that we can operate a ship this size. There are other riverboat operations, of course, in Western Canada, and they always have trouble. You get a really dry year and they can't sail. You get too much water flow, they can't sail. Here, the weir makes sure that there's always enough water that we've got, sometimes just barely, but we've got enough water to sail. And then on the other end, the Gardner Dam again, that acts like kind of a shock absorber. Because it's refilling the lake and it's controlled, you don't get that mad rush of spring breakup. So if there's a sudden quick spring and suddenly there's huge water flows, you don't have that huge breakup here in Saskatoon because the Gardner Dam and Diefenbaker Lake acts as I said, a shock absorber, and it absorbs a lot of that water energy. So we've got a very, well, in one respect, we're very lucky to have those two items here in Saskatoon, because it allows a riverboat operation like ours to run. It's you've got to have a certain amount of water for a 107-ton ship in the middle of the prairies. So it actually sits quite good for us.
At this point, as you look out, you're actually on the Prairie Lily right now, but as you look out, if you're able to sail, and that's another story we'll get to, is the pandemic. The water levels right now, you can sail?
Yes, in fact, if it wasn't for the pandemic, as you say, if anybody's wondering, yes, I'm on the Prairie Lily, where I'm in the forward cabin, and we're just getting ready to go for later in June. But normally our season would start Mother's Day, kind of the first weekend in May, and we would always be able to sail anyway. We do cheat a little bit as far as having enough water. There's always a channel, even when the water is really low. Essentially what happens, you've got this big valley, but when the flows are reduced like they are today, you end up with a smaller river for a big valley. So the trick is to find out where that river is, that littler river, that smaller river, because that's the channels. And that's always got enough water for us to navigate. Sometimes the channel's not much wider than 2 ship widths. So you got to know exactly where you are. So what we do is we have a sister company called Inland Marine Technologies, and we've got some very, very high-tech sonar units and computers and all that. And we'll actually go along and do a 3-dimensional bathymetric survey of the river bed itself before our season even begins. So we would actually generate a 3-dimensional bathymetric map with GPS coordinates all locked into it. And then all our captains and first officers will know exactly where the deep water is. And we mark that course on our charts, and we can safely go up and down the river. I know sometimes there's people who see this big ship going up and down the river at low water levels like this, and they think, oh, well, if they can go with that huge ship, I can go with my power boat. So they launch their boat, they promptly get in trouble because they don't know where those channels are. So I always kind of tell people, yeah, you know, it's probably not worth it at low water levels. Go find a lake. You know, you're just going to damage. Chances are you're going to damage your boat or get yourself in trouble. Last year, a fella put his boat so far and so hard onto the sandbar that the fire department had to come and pull his boat off for him. So you see incidents like that, and you think, okay, well, you know, guys, just go find a lake. When the water levels are higher, less likely for that to happen. It's a beautiful environment here in downtown Saskatoon on the water. Beautiful views. I understand that, but at some point, be cautious and be wise.
You know, that's a good segue. It sounds like we've actually started talking about our second subject I want to talk to you about today, which is river safety. I know I have a friend that's trying to get an inflatable paddleboard. In some stores, he's being told that if he wants one, he can order one for next year. Seems like there is an uptick in interest in water sports, or I guess activities really that you could do during a pandemic. Are you finding an increase of river users?
We did notice that last year. There's two reasons for an increase. Number one, just more people around. The population of the city is getting bigger.
Right.
There's just more people around to use that facility. And then, of course, yes, with the pandemic, people, they can't go to crowded campgrounds last year. They couldn't go to a number of things, but they thought they could, use the time and come out on the river. So there was an uptick in usage. I expect something similar again this year. A lot of it depends on when these restrictions come off. I'm kind of expecting that by mid-July, we're going to have a lot of traffic on the river. And I suspect all the campgrounds at the lakes will be full too. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, we do see an uptick in traffic. Part of the problem with the uptick in traffic, it gets more crowded, of course, on the river. And a lot of folks, they may have a PCOC, done their little course and got their boat license.
Yep. PCOC, what does that stand for?
Pleasure Craft Operator's Certificate.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's a provincial certificate. It's essentially your boat license. So they'll do that course and they'll go boating, but they get out there and they're having a good time. And if they have a powerful boat, like or a fast Sea-Doo personal watercraft, they're zipping around and they're having a great time. Good on them. But sometimes people lose track of where they are and that there are other people and other river users around. So when I talk about river safety, there's any number of rules from Transport Canada and the navigation rules, any number of rules about passages and all those kinds of things, collision regulations, stuff we're all familiar with because we're Transport Canada certified passenger vessel. Most people aren't aware of those things, but the biggest thing I can tell people about river safety is try to maintain situational awareness. Where are you? How much water is under your boat? What's the other traffic in the river? Which way are you going? What effect is your wake having? What effect are you having on other river users? And that just about, if people keep that in mind, they'll end up finding out that they're actually following the rules without even knowing them. It's a matter of situational awareness and common courtesy to other river users. It is public. It's not your own personal river, and we all have to share it. So if people just maintain awareness where they are, what they're doing, be polite, be considerate, that solves about 90% of any problems.
Yeah, and I think that really is a good way to sum it up, is the situational awareness and respect for your own equipment, probably respect for the other users on the river. And that could probably resolve, like you say, a lot of the issues.
Sure.
I want to move on. Last summer, you were able to sail with restrictions. This summer, we're hoping that those are going to be a little more loosened as the summer goes on. But do you have a sense of what's happening for the Prairie Lily this summer?
Well, as you say, last year we were able to sail at 35% capacity because there was no capacity rule set out by the federal government because we are federally regulated here. But the provincial health rules brought in all the social distancing measures and table limits. The provincial government, there's not a huge passenger vessel marine industry in Saskatchewan, of course. So they didn't really know what to do with us, I don't think, until they started looking at the ship and what we do. And they classed us with restaurants, which makes perfect sense. I mean, we do have, as you see, I'm in a dining cabin. It does make sense, and it made sense to classify us as a restaurant. So we had to follow those guidelines. So suddenly, instead of a table of 10 and a big family reunion, we suddenly had 4 to a table and 2 meters distancing last summer. Then, of course, it got worse when it went to 3 meters distancing. With a ship like that, I mean, there are situations where if we had a 3 meter distancing and a maximum 4 to a table, we'd be taking this huge ship up and down the river with 12 passengers or 14 or something, which is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense to start the engines up for that. So we're delayed this year again. We're hoping to get going towards the end of June. We haven't made the final decision. That's our plan, though. A final date will be announced. It'll be on our website and in our newsletter. And we'll be able to start up, and we're hoping the end of June. A lot of it, once again, depends on the restrictions and how things evolve with the reopening plan.
So if I were to sum up our conversation today, it's there might be some water coming with the melt that we're still expecting from the Rockies. Respect other river users and respect your equipment, maybe, and stay tuned. And maybe in the very near future, you might be able to book your cruise for the summer on the Prairie Lily.
Yeah, we're looking for a sudden a turnaround in being in a good mood, because the river water should come up and the restrictions should come down. And that should all happen roughly at the same time, and we'll open up and go. And we fully expect that if we can open up to partial capacity, if not even a full capacity, we expect that this ship's going to be very, very busy. We're getting a lot of calls, have all winter, asking about when we're sailing and so on. So we expect to be very busy. I'd recommend that once it all opens up, if you want to go for a ride, get on the website and book yourself a ticket. Last year, we sold out every cruise. And there were people who were disappointed. So I'd say that when the ticket sales open up in a week or two, get on there and book yourself a ticket, because you may not be able to.
Captain Mike, thank you so much for coming on and doing this interview with us today. We really appreciate it. You're actually kind of the first guest that's on our first kind of non-soft launch show. So we really appreciate you coming on. Just to remind people that when it is time, not quite yet, but follow local media, follow the Prairie Lily, perhaps on Facebook, and there'll be announcements when you're ready to start booking when things solidify, I hear.
For sure, yeah.
Again, thank you so much for coming on, and I wish you the best for the summer. And can I say happy sailings?
You sure can. Thanks very much.
Have a great day. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much again to Captain Mike for coming on and being part of the show. A reminder that this is No YXE, the network that we're on, and this show is CoffeeBreak YXE. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, please feel free to provide comments or questions if you want on your social media, and we'll try and get them on air as soon as we can. And that's very interesting. Of course, with the uptick and increase in population in Saskatoon, we are seeing an increase of those river users, and please show respect when you're out there for the other river users around you. We're going to pivot now and talk about something else. I'm really excited about our second guest, and I'm glad that he can make it here this morning. We're going to talk to Johnny Sinclair. He's host of the Green Room YXE, one of two hosts, co-host with his partner, Leslie Stanwyck, and he's also a part of a Saskatoon-based band, Tucker Lane. Please welcome to Coffee Break YXE, Mr. Johnny Sinclair. Johnny, are you there?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're a little soft in the audio, but I can hear you.
Okay.
Maybe a little closer.
All right, maybe a little closer. How's that?
That's better. That's good.
There we go. There we go. Still learning after all this time.
It happens. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You're guest number 2 on the non-soft launch day, and we really appreciate you being here.
Right on. Awesome.
Wanted to chat. Sorry.
I hope it works out for you.
Well, so do I.
I've never seen you in full makeup before.
Here's a question I had for people before the show, because I do another show tonight at 7. Do I leave the makeup on all day, run my errands, or do I take it off and put it back on?
Why should it be different than any other day?
Johnny, I love you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
I love you too, Ian.
And feel free to buy an ad and sponsor the show.
Okay. All right.
Commercial aside, we shouldn't do that because we are covered by the editorial policy here. We shouldn't be mixing business with editorial. But at any rate,
yeah, you guys have a
wanted
policy?
to chat with you. We do for this show. We do.
Oh,
your show is called entertainment, so we don't have to deal with that. But this show is the editorial policy.
Yeah.
We've been doing your show for, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 episodes now, and kind of a theme that I've detected as I'm directing your show in the background is this pandemic sucks for musicians.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to talk to you today about your personal experience being in Saskatoon. You know, think back a year or so ago, and your band is going, you're building momentum, and then the pandemic comes.
Yeah.
What the heck? How do you pivot?
Well, we were, right in the mix of things too. We had gigs booked, and we had just played, uh, and we were going to be playing at the Juno, some of the Juno events, and you know, I kind of had I don't know, I had a kind of weird feeling that was going to get bad. I don't know why, but I just kind of thought this could be something. So after all that was canceled, and there was the lockdown, and then we sort of we were offered to some gigs to just to keep playing. I don't think they'd really figured out, you know, social distancing. Though after the first lockdown, it was kind of presented to us that we could play shows, and Leslie was like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't feel comfortable inviting uh friends to come see us and potentially put them at risk just to see us perform music. So we all agreed that we would sit it out and find something else to occupy our time. So, we got busy and started writing grants, and we got a album grant from Creative Saskatchewan, and that put us, into recording mode, which we could do.
Right.
Being partners, was we were here together, so we could do half of the recording, and then when it opened up again and they allowed different people into your house, we had the guys over and we sort of worked through the recording process that way, and then we really got familiar with social media, and having our production company, our other band Universal Honey, and Tucker Lane. I mean, that's a full-time job, and fortunately we had a lot of photos and old stuff from back in the day, and now you gotta take as many pictures as you can of everything. It's just like, here I am eating an apple, you know oh, look at him eating an apple. He likes apples, I like apples, heart, you know that kind of stuff. So but it hasn't been hard to keep busy, especially when you guys asked us to host a little show on your new channel, and we thought, yeah, what sounds like fun, sounds like something to do, and here we are later, still doing it, enjoying it.
Yes, and thank you so much for doing the show. We really appreciate it, and it's a lot of fun. I think back to the episode last night, even a week ago, the episode about Ringo Starr's drums. That was amazing, incredible.
Ringo
So
Starr's,
we
yeah,
appreciate doing it.
yeah. We just start blabbing because that's what you do. You're so when you're on the road. Went back in the day when you were on the road and you'd meet people and
Yeah,
you'd have a day together at the venue, and the parties afterwards, and that was it, and then you're gone. So you'd spend as much time in a day getting to know somebody as you could. So we find it pretty easy to talk to, especially
and
other musicians.
it brings kind of a neat atmosphere, I think, to your show. It becomes very conversational, and the beauty of the format we're using is we don't have to get off at the top of the hour because there's no show behind you, right? So you can go
Yeah,
long, go short, whatever you want.
yeah, right.
So if I think back and kind of following you through the pandemic, you did a live recording or live to tape recording, and then you did a concert as well, a virtual thing. How was that experience doing those projects or other projects like that I may not be aware of?
Well, I guess the first thing we did was a lockdown video. Those were kind of where we all tracked at home on our DAWs. Everybody has a DAW, and if you don't, and you're a musician and you don't record at home, you should figure out a way to learn how to do that. So we picked a cover. We picked a song by the Pretenders because Leslie's got a sort of Chrissy Hynde sound to her. So we picked a song, "Don't Get Me Wrong," and we all recorded our parts to a tempoed click, and then filmed ourselves sort of goofing off, lip syncing it, and compiled the video to the audio and put it out on YouTube as a lockdown video, and it was just a fun project to do. And then when we put out our first single from the record, one of the guys working with us in Los Angeles named Mark Platt said, "I need two songs. I want an A-side and a B-side." And so we said, "Well, here's this version of 'Don't Get Me Wrong," and he took the audio from it and put it out as the B-side, and it still gets played all over the world on his network of independent internet radio stations. I mean, every morning I wake up and it says, "Don't Get Me Wrong" was played on Pop Radio UK or something like that. So that is just kind of I'm just reading the comments here. That was kind of cool. But so we did that, and then we did of course we did a video for Paper Wings, and that was still, it wasn't really quite masks weren't involved then. But then when we did our live from the Long Branch, and we did a SaskTel thing from Rosthern, the SaskTel thing, they told us we can't even move off the X. They put an X on the stage, right? And you had to wear a mask, and Leslie was behind plexiglass, and she couldn't move. They told her she couldn't even turn around and look at the band, so she was doing a lot of hand in the air sort of stuff for signals, and that was weird. And then we taped ourselves at the Long Branch, which was fun. It was fun. We sat up on the dance floor, and there was nobody in there. Tables and chairs were up. It looked like a club that was closed, and it was kind of lonely to see it. But yeah, man, that was again, we recorded it and mixed it and put it out on a live streaming event and raised money for the Unison Benevolent Fund, and it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad we did it. Learned a heck of a lot.
So that was the SaskTel Max event you were talking about?
That was yeah, I was talking about both of them. I know it's
they're both okay, right? Yeah, gotcha.
It's kind of hard to distinguish because I just oops, my camera went
we lost you, Johnny.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We lost your picture, though. You might have turned your camera off.
I don't know how that hang on a sec.
I know that our producer was mentioning that I was having some audio issues, but I think those have been cleared up as I fixed the internet. Can you hear me okay, Johnny?
I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Maybe while you try and sort that out, and I think there's just an icon at the bottom of your screen, stop cam. You may want to press that to see if you get your camera back on.
You're so smart.
In the meantime, there you are. In the meantime, that's kind of how it was. So a bit of grant money, doing these virtual events. Also, taking note that it's probably a good call to try and keep your friends and fans safe during that time. And,
yeah, well, we kept Julian home from school because my mom would usually go to Arizona, winter in Arizona in Yuma, that's where it is. And they were obviously not going to go, so she was going to be around this winter, and we thought, like, well, she's 86 at the time.
And Julian's your son, right?
And Julian's our son, and he said, for our sake and for Grandma's sake, he would, do homeschooling. And his marks have been great. He's going a little crazy right now because, it's almost June, it's almost end of year, so he's really restless about that. But yeah, so we sort of follow the guidelines, and in our videos you can see that the band's all wearing masks and stuff like that. So
right,
So
again, it's great that you can get your material out there, you can perform, but it's got to be weird without a live audience.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. There's a lot of there's a lot of energy and a lot of feedback that comes right off the front of the stage from people watching, or even if they're sitting down somewhere. There's some sort of gratitude and excitement that is not there when you're performing for yourself. It's good that we got a tight knit band. We play well together, and when we get together, when we can get together and jam, it's still a lot of fun. But there's it's really not quite as rewarding as playing for a live audience.
Okay, so and the other question, I guess, is that without the ability to play live or play as often, then it's a bit of a revenue hit, isn't there?
Yeah, that's huge too. That's it's it wasn't like a get rich quick scheme or anything like that, playing around town and stuff, but it was nice to have some walking around money in your pocket, right? But there's there's not even any really walking around now, so but
so we're in the spring now, and kind of I watch the numbers every day. Things are starting to look good. The province has this reopening plan. Do you think at some time this summer or some point this summer that you'll play in front of a live audience?
Well, I guess I'll announce it here. We are booked to play Canada Day in Melfort, Saskatchewan. So it's going to
That's
be an
July 1st. That's just over a month.
outdoor drive-in thing, I believe. So we're heading up to Melfort, which is where I was born, by the way. If you're caring to know that at all, but I don't think you really do.
Every week I learn something new about you, Johnny from Milford.
Yeah, I was born there. I didn't live there, but I was born there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's just over a month. How do you think that's going to feel, like getting in front of a live audience? Sounds like, will they be in cars, the audience, or
No, they won't be in cars. Well, I don't think they're in cars. No, they're not in cars. It's kind of going to be a socially distanced event, and hopefully by then, more restrictions have been lifted. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, June,
It's
was it June
outdoors.
20th? Is the next day?
Yeah,
Yes, that helps, right?
it's outdoors. So yeah. So
Um, so when you say that we've been booked, is that the Tucker Lane that's been booked?
yeah, sorry, Tucker Lane.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not you and me.
Anything else planned? You don't want me, trust me. Any other sense of any other dates in the summer, or when the
No,
province says it's go time? Are you going to try and get into a local club?
Oh, absolutely. We'll try. I mean, there's going to be every band in the world trying to get every gig, so it's going to be a bit of a bottleneck of just musicians and bands trying to play. So I imagine for the first little while, gigs could be scarce. I have no idea. I have no idea. I hope not, but
there's no blueprint really, is there, for
No.
reopening after a pandemic?
Yeah. How do you
There
get
is,
back?
it's 100 years old.
How do you get back to normal? I mean, like you see in the States, they're having a lot of outdoor festivals are happening, and in England there was a rave with 5,000 people, and you had to have an instant test. I saw at a Knicks game, they had 15,000 people at a New York Knicks game. That'd be at Madison Square Gardens, and you either had to have proof of a negative COVID test within 72 hours, or you had to have they showed people showing their vaccines on their phone. They had like a vaccine passport. So I foresee that happening, and I wouldn't want to be one of those people that's every time I want to go to a club or a concert and having to get my nose swab to prove that I don't have COVID. It'll just be easier to show them something, I think.
Right. But knock on wood, we are heading back to normal, and it's going to could be a slow process, but I know I need to get there for my mental health, and I think that's the kind of the same thing almost around the planet. Before I let you go, thank you so much for this conversation. It's been interesting.
You could have just phoned me.
But this way the world knows, Johnny.
Oh, right. Okay.
The world knows the struggles and the tributes and the tribulation and the successes that we have. And I appreciate it. Before I let you go, let's talk about Green Room YXE. It's Wednesdays at 7 p.m. This coming Wednesday, you have, I think, is it Jeffrey Straker?
Yes. Thanks to our production crew that secured that one for us. We worked with Jeffrey at Telemiracle 43 or 44. I don't know which one it was. And got to meet him. Super nice guy, him and his sister. So it'll be fun to talk to him. He's, I believe, living in Toronto, and we moved here from Toronto, and he moved there from Saskatchewan. So it should be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, it should be good. I think he actually has two homes. He has one here in Toronto, one in Regina, and it seems like he's spending more time in Regina during the pandemic than Toronto. But I could be wrong. We'll find out though. It's Wednesday night. Yeah. So. And also, if people want to watch any of the previous episodes, they're available on YouTube. There's a playlist with all the Green Room YXE episodes, and I'd strongly encourage you to check some of those out. It's wonderful conversations that you have with all kinds of interesting people.
Some of it's us catching up with old friends that are doing things in the music world, and meeting new people. So it's our background is the same as a lot of musicians, and so it's a good starting point for conversation, and we're really enjoying it, actually.
And we enjoy having you on the network, and thank you for doing that. Johnny, thank you so much for coming on, do the show. I know that Leslie was going to appear as well, but unfortunately that there's some personal issues that she's dealing. Can I talk a bit about it? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
She's a family member that is currently having some health issues that are non-COVID. The health issues, I think, are non-COVID related, but with distance and the pandemic, it's just making things tricky. And it's tough. And we wish the best to Leslie and to yourself and the
Yeah.
entire Stanwyck Sinclair family as they,
Thank you.
sort through this.
Yeah, her dad is had a cardiac arrest, and he's in critical care, and it's been hard. It's been a week now, and pat her on the back for being a trooper. The show must go on, right? So
yeah, we did an episode last night, and we really appreciate it. But we're thinking of you guys. Hopefully our viewers are. One comment there about your show. People are really excited. Jennifer Hackett's, yay, Jeffrey will be there next Wednesday. So looking forward to your show
awesome.
next Wednesday. So we really appreciate that. Thank you, Jennifer, for the comment. Again, thank you. And we'll see you next Wednesday, I guess, on the Green Room YXE.
And your show is on every day, Monday through Thursday?
Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. right here.
And you're going to have
Tune in.
Two guests a day, or how long?
We're hoping to have 2 guests a day, sometimes 3 if we have it. But it's always like booking your show, it can be a struggle sometimes.
Someday
we're still looking for some guests for next week.
Someday it could just be you talking in that stuffed shirt there, like that.
Yeah.
I
was saying to Deborah, the co-producer of the show here, that I need to buy some new shirts if I can do this 4 days a week. I have like 3 shirts that fit left after this pandemic.
Turn them inside out, and then maybe put the camera on grayscale or something. Just change it up a bit.
Maybe do something like that. But here's my question: if I have to buy new shirts to be on air, can I write them off?
Absolutely, yeah.
Of course, then you'd actually have to make money to write it off.
Right. That's
the hard part.
That's the hard part. Yeah. Let me plug the channel here for you, because it's an awesome idea, and I hope that it catches on. I mean, when there's more going on and people are like, hey, I guess I'll tune into Ian's show this morning and find out what's happening in Saskatoon. That'd be like awesome. And there'd be no shortage of events for you to talk about. How's that? Well,
yeah, and you're right. I think once we get going, and hopefully we'll get some traction and we'll pick up. We're finding that our viewership, to be honest, for the live events is a little low. We're getting thousands of views afterwards, which is fine.
Right.
Makes the interactivity a little harder, but we really appreciate every viewer that we have. And thank you for the plug. We really hope that this takes off. We think it might be a model forward for sharing news and community information for cities the size of Saskatoon across the country. So that's our vision.
There you go.
The Green Room Canada.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice someday?
Sure.
Yeah. Johnny, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next Wednesday with Jeffrey Straker.
You bet. Have a good
one.
Bye
for now.
Bye for now.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We really appreciate it. This is CoffeeBreak YXE on noyxe.com. To wrap up the show, I'm going to bring in my co-producer because we're really excited. Hi, here's Deborah. I should introduce her, I guess. Co-producer Deborah. Thank you so much for coming on CoffeeBreak YXE. And one of the reasons we have you on right now is this is a bit of a banner day for us here at No.
It is?
We have 3 shows, the first time ever on the same day. This show here, Coffee Break at 12:15, we're going to be doing Sports Line, YXE with Little Walker. And then tonight you get to see me again.
And me.
And you, because you're going to co-host In Focus YXE tonight at 7. So we're really looking forward to today. And as we build up this network, a reminder that we hope it is your show. As viewership increases, we really want some user interactivity. Looking forward to people asking questions for us. This makes my job easier in the comments. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to make a comment. I just noticed that Ari made a comment on Facebook saying there's no comments here. Kind of sad. We did have a comment on YouTube, but certainly not on Facebook. So hopefully that will change. Couple things before we go. If you want to be a guest on the show, feel free to pitch us at news@noyxe.com. That's our catch-all email. Send any information there, and we'll try and get you on. We're hoping to do 2, maybe 3 guests a day. Bit of a longer format interview, but that's kind of our plan. Also, if you want to get hold of us to pitch a show idea, because we're looking for new shows on our network, we really have 24/7, 7 days a week. It's a blank slate or blank canvas. Can I say that? We'd love to talk to you. And if we like your idea, we'll fire up a show and get it going. Does that cover it for today, Deborah?
I think so. Do you want to plug some of our other shows?
We can plug some of our other shows, and I don't know if I can get to the banners quick enough, but maybe
that's okay. We could just talk about them.
Go in here and well, I'm there. How about that? Let's plug. Let's start on Monday. We'll go through that Monday at YXE Sports Podcast, 6 p.m. with Matt and Ray Morrison.
Matt and Ray.
Looking forward to that. Lots of sports. I think yesterday there was basketball, there was hockey, there was baseball, all kinds of sports happening. One of our more popular shows on the network is Let's Chat with Nizri Nessa. That's Tuesdays at 11, and that show, just to mention it, is in Arabic. So we're really, really excited we have a show like that because it kind of helps us reflect kind of our community a bit better,
Yep.
what Saskatoon is really like. And thank you, Nazreen, for doing that show. Linda Walker is coming up in just about 90 minutes or so with her show, Sportsline YXE. I think today she has a guest from Global Television on to talk about the NHL playoffs. Tonight, our game show. You want to describe the game show?
Describe the game show. It's we put up blurry pictures of Saskatoon, somewhere around Saskatoon, and people have to guess where it is. And if they guess where it is, they get a fantastic prize.
That does it too.
It's
That
fun.
is kind of what it is. Yeah, you're right. And we've had a lot of fun doing it. It's probably our most interactive show.
Yeah.
Little trick. Watch on YouTube because it's about 20 seconds ahead of Facebook. So you'll see the photos sooner and be able to guess sooner than other people. So keep that in mind. Slow TV every Sunday at 10 a.m. And this is just a kind of a passion project of mine. I go somewhere usually along the river, and I'll shoot a scene for 20 minutes, half hour. And all one take, pretty sights around Saskatoon, and we just put it there a Sunday morning, so you can put it on your computer in the background and just watch some pretty scenery. Sometimes there's cooking over an open fire. That's actually our most popular episode. I prepared scallops over an open fire, and people really enjoyed that.
And that one's only on YouTube.
Yes, that show is only on YouTube.
Yes.
It has better bandwidth, and we can upload bigger files. So we're finding a lot more success getting that show up on YouTube. And good point. That brings us back to this show, Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. This is it for this week. We'll be on again Monday, 10 a.m. We have one guest confirmed. Dr. Paul Hackett is going to be by on Monday to talk about how we plan cities and how the way that we build cities right now is helping or hindering. The way we're building cities is providing less opportunity for people to walk around, and it's leading to more obesity and more cases of diabetes. So we're going to talk about how we can make cities more friendly for people to get around without a vehicle, and how that can actually impact our health, specifically diabetes. So that's coming up this Monday, and hopefully by Monday we'll have a second guest for the show booked.
For sure.
I think that's about it. Deborah, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us at the end of the show here. I think that's it. We'll see you at 12:15 with Linda, 7 p.m. tonight for the game show. Slow TV Sunday at 10, and then we're back here Monday at 10 with Coffee Break YXE. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thanks.
Have a great day.